Okay, so you're back home now. How does Shalamar come together?
So I came back from overseas, started kicking around, for about 8 weeks or so, and then I connected with this cat, Jeffrey Bowen. He was a producer over at Motown, produced a lot of stuff on Commodores, on the Temptations, Standing on Shaky Ground, all that kind of stuff. Used to do a lot of stuff with Bonnie Pointer, and Bonnie Pointer was his lady actually, and he produced her, But he was working on a project with Eddie Hazel. He was doing a project on Eddie Hazel, guitar player from Parliament Funkadelic.
Parliament.
Yeah, Maggot Brain, that's Eddie Hazel, all this stuff. So like this girl, Tammy Gibson got in touch with me. She wanted me to come and do a background session for them. That she was putting the background session together for a couple of songs that they were doing. And so like once I went there to do the session, we finished up the session and stuff, and Jeffrey Bowen came to me. He said, "Man, I love your vocals. I love what you do." So he said, "But I want to put you. This is going to be a self-contained situation." He said, "Because Eddie can't sing, so they wanted like 3 vocalists plus all the musicians. It was going to be called the Eddie Hazel Experience or something like that." And so he said, "I'd love for you to be a part of it." He said, "I can get you." He said, "We can put together the contracts and all that stuff as far as Motown is concerned. It'll take some time to put it together." He said, "But I can get you into the union tomorrow." He said, "I get you in the union tomorrow. We'll start working on the album." So we're working. He gets me in the union the next day. I actually quit the job that I was with then, and so like we're working, and we're working about 2 months into the whole thing. They were good. It was making good money. Then all of a sudden they started giving what we used to call back in the day the Motown runaround. You know what I'm saying? Where we're like, it's like, the checks weren't reflecting, the work that we were doing in the studio. And so like I called a meeting, right? I called a meeting with Jeffrey Bowen and his co-producer, this cat named Angela Bond. And I dropped my lady at the time. The lady I was with, she worked for Don Cornelius at the Soul Train Dance Studios over on Santa Monica and Fairfax. So I dropped her off at work, told her I'm going to the Motown building. So I'm in the Motown building talking and getting all this stuff off my chest. And like in the middle of the whole thing, the phone rings, right? And Angelo Bond answers the phone, and he looks at me. He says, "It's for you, right?" And I said, "If it's my lady, tell her I'll call her back when I get done with the meeting." And he says, "No, it's not a lady, it's a guy." And this is before cell phones, right? So you could hear and he said, "It sounds like it's long distance." That's when you could hear all the crackling on the phone if it was long distance stuff. And so like I get on, I take the phone, and it's Jeffrey Daniel from Shalamar, right? I met Jeffrey and Jody before Shalamar even existed, because all the Soul Train people used to come to Maverick's Flat, and on the weekends and just dance, the dance club. And then they heard me do shows with Beverly Hills, because every time before we went overseas, every time we wanted to try a show out, we would play Maverick's Flat on Friday and Saturday night. So like that's when they had first heard me sing. And so in the meantime, when I was overseas with Beverly Hills, Shalamar formed. They had first thing was this thing called Uptown Festival. It was like a medley of old Motown hits and stuff. And they had this guy Gary Mumford that was lead singer then. Then he went back to the church, and then they did Take That to the Bank. And this cat, Gerald Brown from Cincinnati, sang Take That to the Bank. So, they were on the road at that time they were promoting Take That to the Bank, and they got into an altercation. Something happened with between Jeffrey and Jody and Gerald Brown, and Gerald Brown splits, leaves them out on the road. With
so
no
the lead singer leaves in the middle of a tour.
In the middle of the tour. It's like, I don't know what happened. It wasn't none of my business, right? So like, he said, well, when y'all, I found out that Gerald had said, well, when y'all see it my way, give me a call, right? And so they called me instead. And but what happened was Jeffrey knew that my lady at the time, which actually became my first wife, the mother of my two older daughters, he knew that she worked for Don. So he called her to find out where I was. So this is on a Friday, right? So she told him I'm at the Motown building and I'm up there, getting all this stuff on my chest. He calls. And then he says, I know that because they had talked to me once before, like a year before, about joining the group, but I was obligated to go back overseas. So like, he said, I know we talked before, but we want to offer you an equal position in the group, lead singer, blah, 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 blah. He said, you're at the Motown building, right? I said, yeah. And he says, where are you? I said, I'm up on the 15th floor, because Motown had 17, 16, and 15. And so, like I said, I'm up on the 15th floor. He said, well, Solar's offices are in that same building down on the 9th floor. He said, we already talked to Dick Griffey, and, we told him about it. He's waiting for you to get in touch with him, blah, 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 And so, like, I get off the phone and I tell these guys at Jeffrey Bowen and them, I tell them what to deal with. I said, that's Jeffrey Daniel from Shalamar, blah, blah, blah. He says, man, Shalamar be nothing but a fly-by-night disco group. It never amount to anything. You don't want to get involved with them. Solar will never be a Motown, and that whole thing. So I start talking, then Angelo starts talking, and I get like, kind of shrink down, get a little, listen to what they're talking about. And then when they got done, I said, well, I'm parked on the street. I need to go put some money in the meter so I don't get a ticket. And I said, I left and went right down to the 9th floor, got in and talked to Dick. He reiterated what Jeffrey had proposed. And so I told him, give me a night to try and rectify this thing with these people upstairs, because even though I didn't have contract signed, my word is worth it more than any contract I could ever sign. So, I went home and I called Jeffrey Bowen and them, said, if you guys want to rectify this thing, I'll be home. That was Friday night, right? Nobody calls. So Saturday, I called Dick Griffey back, went over to his house. He stayed in Baldwin Hills, I think, at that time. And went over to his house, watched a videotape of a Shalamar show. And then when it was done, I'm sitting in this rocking chair, I remember. And Dick says, well, sing something. Jeffrey and Jody say you're a great singer. That's my Dick Griffey impression. Because Dick Griffey always was always wanting to be a gangster type cat. Said, sing something for me. Jeffrey and Jody say you're a great singer. So I said, sing something. Just, a cappella, right here. It says, yeah. So then I said to myself, I said, well, Lord, me and you, right? And so like I broke into Feel the Fire by Peabo Bryson, right? And went through the first verse, half the hook. Dick says, okay, I'll be right back. He goes upstairs, comes back down, he gives me like $500 cash. $500, right? Which was cool because I wasn't making any money except for this.
What year are we talking here?
What?
What year are we talking here?
We're talking 70, the end of 78.
Okay, so it's 1978, $500 cash is something.
Something. Yeah, so it's cool. Okay. Then he goes in the other pocket and brings out an airline ticket. That was before 9/11. That was when I could ride on anybody. Anybody can ride on anybody's ticket, right? There wasn't a particular name that had to be on it like it is today. So he said, here's an airline ticket. You got to catch the red eye out tonight. He said, because tomorrow you have to meet Jeffrey and Jody in New Jersey. They had gone from New York to New Jersey. He said, you got to meet them in New Jersey and rehearse the lip sync and the choreography to take that to the bank. He said, because Monday you got a TV show to do. So that's how it went down. Got the offer on Friday. Guess I did a little lightweight audition on Saturday. Saturday night I was on the red eye. Sunday we rehearsed. We rehearsed the lip sync choreography all day long. Then Monday we had this little TV show, this little dance show to do in Patterson, New Jersey. So I was lip syncing. I did the Milli Vanilli thing long before Milli Vanilli did it. I was lip syncing.
And for anybody who's not clear, Dick Griffey, that's a legendary record man. Legendary record man, founder of Solar Records. Everybody from Babyface, obviously Shalamar,
Whispers,
The Deal, Whispers all come up under that label.
Yeah, Lakeside, Dynasty, Carrie Lucas, Climax. They were all over
Star.
there. Midnight Star, exactly. Serious.
Okay. So now you're part of the group. Because I'm wondering, like, yo, did you have to audition? Did Dick just take Jeffrey's word for it? But I didn't realize that he made you just stand up and sing for him. And that got you that plane ticket and $500.
He didn't even make me stand up. I could sit down. I was sitting in the rocking chair.
Get out of here.
Yeah, man. It was very, very cool. There was only... Because they had, Jeffrey really, really wanted me to be, part of the group and stuff. And at the time, they had one other guy, that they had in case I said no, because I had said no once before. But at that time they were like, when they had asked me before they had the Uptown Festival, they hadn't even done Take That to the Bank, and I was obligated to go back overseas, like I said, with the Beverly Hills group. And so it was the right timing for the whole thing.